one man is rewriting the rules and taking it to another level.
And the next level, and the next level.
The seventh level.
You just feel how natural it is. You feel how open you become to your prospects, and in response, they usually become more open to you.
Founded by Jeremy Miner, Seventh Level is the only friction-free sales system guaranteed to raise revenue.
In my life, it's been revolutionary.
And his followers are feeling the difference.
His training has transformed everything.
It is precise, and it really draws out emotions.
People around the world are starting to catch on.
We're going to tie in the new model of selling to your product or service that you sell.
These tools can work for anyone in any industry at any time.
And it's time to get on board before the ship sets sail. It's Seventh Level with Jeremy Miner.
All right, we are live in the Facebook group here today. So we've got a special guest. So every Wednesday, like clockwork, year after year after year, this is the third year, we interview a client from usually a completely different industry, and we break down their sales process, and we have the client give you info, give you golden nuggets to help you sell more of your products and services as well. Now today we have a very special guest. We're going live using StreamYard, so we're going live in our Facebook group, Sales Revolution. Welcome to you watching me today and watching our client, this guest. We're going to talk to him in a second. Got 101,000 plus of you, 101,673 people. I just looked right before I got on here in the Facebook group, Sales Revolution. Also going live in our, we're going live on LinkedIn. We're also going live in our Facebook business page, like 167,000 of you follow me on there. We're going live in my personal Facebook. Now, typically when we go live, we break down a process from a different industry. And today, we're going to break down this gentleman's industry. He's a young man. How old are you, Jacob?
24.
24 freaking years old. And we're going to go over the top 5 things. So he's in one of our advanced training programs called NEPQ 3.0 or NEPQ 3.0 Pro. And we're going to break down the top 5 things that he's acquired, the skills he's acquired from that program. And he's going to give you some examples of those questions in tonality to help you sell more. He has promised me and assured me that he is going to do that for you today. Now, here's what I'm going to have you do real quick. If you're on the live right now with us, I want you to go in the comments section and post hashtag live. So if you're on the live, post hashtag live. If you're on the replay, post hashtag replay. I better see tons of hashtag lives, hashtag replays. Just looking here at the numbers between the Facebook group, the LinkedIn, and also between the Facebook business page. There's almost 200 of you on here right now. By the time the recording goes out, there'll be probably 1,000 to 1,500 of you seeing this. Now, I also want you to smash the heart button. So I better see hundreds of smashed hearts, and I better see hundreds of smashed likes. So hundreds of smashed hearts, hundreds of smashed likes. Now, if you're brand new, you just started following me today or something, my name is Jeremy Miner. I'm the founder of Seventh Level, of course. We're a sales training organization that trains salespeople exactly like you watching us here on this live. So we train sales professionals like you, sales executives, sales management, leadership, coaches, consultants, entrepreneur, business owners, and we train you and your teams. Specific skilled questions and techniques that, get this, work with human behavior rather than work against it. That might be important for you to understand. So we're going to train you, especially if you're one of our clients in our virtual training programs, you already know this, like this gentleman, how to get your prospects to do all the work, how to get your prospects to overcome their own concerns, because why would you try to overcome them? Who has the problems, you or the prospect? Oh, the prospect. Who has the solution to solve those? You do. Okay? How to get them to pull you in rather than you pushing and pressuring, because you don't even like to do that, do you? And it doesn't even work on most of your prospects. So we're going to talk about that today. All right, Jacob, where are you from? You're from the boonies of Pennsylvania somewhere, right?
Pittsburgh, yeah, I'm outside of it. Not anywhere close to civilization.
Yeah, you told me that. It was quite interesting because I actually, there's only maybe 10 clients that I've interviewed in the Facebook group here and actually interviewed them a second time, because we always we change, you know, I think we have 55,000 some clients now or something like that. So obviously we have a lot to choose from to actually interview. But our requirements are you have to make a certain amount of income on a monthly average, not just 1 month I made a lot, the next month I'm just doing average, but like on a monthly average to even be on the show. I think for somebody to even be interviewed, they have to make at least $30,000 a month in commissions to be on here. So well done on being back on here a second time. You came into the office to visit us because now you actually work for one of our companies in the 7th Level brand called 7th Level Financial Group. Before that, I'm not sure you worked for, but now you work with us in our
wouldn't want it any other way.
Insurance company that's kind of a different division of 7th Level. So obviously we wanted you to come in the office. Now, what do you actually sell?
More advanced market, like IULs and annuities.
Okay.
I did do like a little like term and stuff, but nothing really, just all advanced market.
You started in life insurance, like final expense, general life insurance, but now you sell annuities and you sell IULs. For those of you who might not understand what that is Indexed Universal Life.
Yes.
And what does Indexed Universal Life do for prospects, your clients?
It's just like a supplemental retirement almost, but it has to be structured properly. Most agents, they do not, so it does more harm than good.
Okay. So if I want to get into IULs, I should go with you, probably, I'm assuming?
Possibly.
Okay. Possibly, just maybe, all right. So it gives you kind of more of a stable income, like an investment income for retirement, right? So not so ups and downs of the market. How does it actually work? Give us a 30-second overview.
So pretty much the IUL, it's just Indexed Universal Life. It's tied with the stock market. With Fidelity and Guaranteed, it's with the S&P 500 and Barclays. It's 50% allocations of both of those. Now, as the stock market goes up, we participate in partial upside potential, like 12%. However, like in 08, 2022, like when the stock market does decline, like which it does, is we have a 0% floor. So you
don't lose money.
You don't lose.
So basically it protects your principal. So what problems would you say you solve specifically with what you do, your product, your service?
You just said protecting their principal. A lot of people don't have that protection, as they have like normal 401ks, and it's not even a thought of their mind, is because they just kind of just put it in and they don't worry about it, and then they're like, oh, I want to diversify. And then like advanced skills, advanced questioning is you can really nail down questions to really expand on their problems that they didn't even know of.
So maybe you're almost, and with your tone, how we teach you in 3.0 is like how to maybe even seed doubt in their mind by using your tone and certain questions you ask, that maybe what they thought was good because everybody was doing a 401k or mutual funds might not be as good as maybe they thought, right? We don't want to say it's horrible because then they're going to get defensive and think we're trying to
and a lot of people,
them, right?
they don't even like actually have a clear plan. Like most of the people who do fill out the forms, it's like, have you even thought about this? No, you know what I mean? And they don't, because they think they actually have everything planned out properly. I mean, and we have softwares that we actually go in.
Because I always say, like, what's your biggest problem? Well, your biggest problem in anything is the problem you don't know you have. Because if you don't know that you have a problem or what the problem is, you don't know how to even fix it, right? You don't even know where to look. You don't know where your problem. Now, walk us back. How long have you been in sales? I think this is a relatively, you're only 24, so not like you've been selling for 10 years.
No, this would be coming up on 2 years.
2 years, okay.
So in April will be 2 years.
And what did you do before you got into sales?
I was an electrician.
Blue collar
worker.
Of course, you were from Western Pennsylvania, right?
That's all I ever knew.
Everybody's a blue collar worker.
That's all I ever knew.
I do love Pennsylvania. I'll tell you some funny stories. I love blue. I just love just everything about the people out there. It's actually pretty cool. So, you got into sales a couple years ago, and how did you sell before you started to learn ANPQ?
It was atrocious, I'll tell you that.
Could be trouble.
The biggest thing is they always said just buy leads, read from the script, and I was like, okay.
Buy leads, I'm going to read from the script, and I should get this result.
And I can't remember exactly what I said, but I know the first line was like, hey, don't hang up on me. I'm not a telemarketer.
Hey, don't hang up on me, I'm a telemarketer. And how did most people react to that?
They're blown away. Some people listened to me. I had a few sales, but nothing.
Most would still hang up on you. It's like knocking on the door. That would be like the equivalent of a door-to-door salesman knocking on the door like, oh, don't worry, I'm not selling anything. Well, most people are going to take that you are selling something because you're saying that. Now, we don't want to say, I'm here to sell you, but there's different things we'd want to do. Yeah.
No, 100%. But yeah, the biggest thing is I just didn't have an idea what to do. I knew I wanted to do something more than stay being an electrician. So I came across.
Yeah, so how long into selling, you know, because you started in like final expense, general light before you got into IULs. How long were you selling that before you're like, shit, I need to learn how to sell?
Yeah, it was probably about like, I'm going to be honest, it was probably like 4 months that I probably was just like, I don't know. And
playing the numbers
Yeah,
game.
just playing the numbers
How
game.
was that? Was that really fun?
I just dialed. That's all I did. I didn't know any other way besides, all right, I'm going to just put in the works.
12, 14 hours a day?
That's exactly what it was.
Barely make any sales?
Nothing, like one a week maximum.
So how did you find us?
Just coming through on IG. Like it was probably meant to be. Started taking the free little hors d'oeuvres that you always say.
Okay, so you started following me on IG. You saw the basic 60-second reels.
Yeah.
And then what caused you to be like, hey, I like the reels, but you know, they're 60 seconds. I'm probably not going to master sales by 60-second reels.
Well, I saw success in the free stuff, and then I was at the gym. I was listening to the podcast. I'm not going to be able to quote it verbatim, but you said like, how much money are you actually losing by not knowing the right skills? And I started going through it. I was like, dude, I'm losing tens of thousands.
Yeah, if you just started making one sale a day, you know, compared to 1 or 2 a week, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars a month in commissions you should be making. Okay, so you got into it's not the most advanced training we have, but it's second to the most for an individual salesperson. Yeah. That's called NEPQ Pro or NEPQ 3.0. That's the virtual access to virtual training portal. It's like close to 50 hours now of content, plus it's the group training from our trainers, and I even do one group training call in there a week. What did you start picking up? Let's talk about the 5 things you started learning, okay? Okay. I actually put the title here as you 8 extra income, but I think you like probably 20 extra income.
100%.
I didn't think that even sounded believable on a title, so I'm like, let's lower that down and sound more believable. Because what were you making before NEPQ? Can I ask?
Probably like maximum maybe $2,000 a month.
$2,000 a month,
and that's not counting lead costs. Like I was probably in the hole if anything.
So you were losing money, but okay. And from what I understand now, you're averaging around $50,000 a month in commissions, like average. I know some months you've made like 70 and 80, other months you've had 35, 40.
Consistently
a little bit over 50. So that's about 600,000. Okay, not bad for a 24-year-old. I think a lot of 55-year-olds here watching here would like to acquire the skills that you've acquired. So let's talk about Let's talk about the 5 big things that you've learned, and I want you to give some of these details to everybody watching us here on this live. What was the biggest thing you learned by going through, the advanced NEPQ through 3.0 portal and the group training? Like, give me the biggest thing. First biggest thing you started to pick up very quickly.
Listening is the hugest thing because you can craft a message to the prospect. As you can truly listen to them now, like I always say, like you can be dangerous when you're actually talking to them. Because a lot of people, agents that we train, they're too busy focused on scrolling down on the script and not focus.
That's every industry. We train 161 industries. That's SaaS, home improvement, cars.
Everyone's too focused.
Cybersecurity, employee benefits, anything solar, any industry, real estate.
No one focuses on the prospect. I truly believe that. And then the next biggest thing is tone.
Let's talk about listening first, and then we'll go to the second biggest thing is tone. So what he means is not just asking a question and listening for 17 minutes while your prospect goes off into the weeds about stuff that has nothing to do with why they're answered the phone or why they're on Zoom or why they're in person with you. We're talking about listening to what the prospect means, not just what they say. How does that help you listen to what they mean, not just what they say? How does that separate you from everybody else?
Is because I feel heard. Like I get that all the time. It's like I never had a conversation like that. And then all I'm doing is saying back what they say and just asking my question. That's it.
Yeah. So, and it also means like if the prospect, say, do you feel like this could be the answer for you? And they're like, yeah, sure. Well, they said sure. So a lot of people are like, great, let me show you to get signed up. But what I just heard they meant is that they're unsure. Their tone And if I can see them, their body language signified that they're not quite sure, they're a little bit uncertain. But hold on, you seemed a bit unsure when I asked you that. What's going on? What's behind that? You know, now I can find out they're concerned rather
And then
than
they tell you.
trying to close them and they're like, oh, I'm not ready, right? And I trigger sales resistance. Then I can help them overcome the concern and then they easily close. So the first thing you learn is listening to what they mean, not just what they say, and how to interject.
100%.
Tell us about interjecting rather than interrupting.
Right, because a lot of people will be like, oh, that's rude. And it's not. It has to be tactical, because if they go on for 2 minutes and then you go back, oh, like you said this, there's nothing to go.
They get lost in the weeds. They're like, you know, start talking about their issues, and they're like, yeah, back in 1973, my dad was in Vietnam, and like,
and then we just sit there and listen, and then you try to say something, and then it just falls flat. Like you have to, whoa, hold on, like
you're losing me here. What did you mean by? And I want to find out about that, but I didn't understand when you said blank. How did you mean by that? See, you're interjecting and asking a clarifying question to get them to clarify some things they said a little bit before when they were on track, to get them back on track, right? Rather than the weeds. Because if they start going off in the weeds, what that does is in their brain is it causes what I would call unorganization,
right?
And they get sidetracked.
When you should have the sales call going down to the funnel, going to A and not B.
Yeah, they get uncertain, and then your calls drag on twice as long as they should be, meaning you can't talk to as many prospects, and most of those you're going to lose. So listening to what they mean, not just what they say, is first thing. Second thing, tone. Okay, tell us about the tonality you've done.
Because we can all talk normal, everything else, but like when you can truly like be playful, when you can lean in, be curious, when you can take out, be detached, like all that can really help the sale. Or like if you just ramble, you're not going to get anywhere.
Resistance, right? Yeah. So we, in our advanced training portals for clients, we really train on the 5 different types of tonality that you don't just learn, you master. If you want to be a top 1% earner like Jacob is in his industry, if you want to be a top 1% in your industry, you got to learn that there's a curious tone, right? Give us a question, probably a situation question that you ask in kind of that curious tone. What would that be? Just an example of what.
Yeah, so like my first situation is like, got it. So in terms of, got it. So for you right now, like where do you currently have your money that's like working for you? Is it like a 401k or like an IRA?
Yeah, see, that's a curious tone. So where do you have your money working for you? Like a 401k, IRA? What do you have going on? Just so I understand. That's a curious tone. See, your prospect. Everybody, I want to understand your prospect. The way they interpret the intention behind your questions is how your tonality comes across. So your tone is how they interpret the meaning behind why you're asking the question, right? So basically when I ask it in a curious tone, it signifies to their brain that I'm curious, causes them to open up. But if I'm just like, walk me through, if I sound like a telemarketer reading a script, walk me through, what do you do now for investing, just so I understand. It's like a straight monotone voice, like this sounds salesy, right? Yeah,
they're going to click on you. They're going to hang up because just for us, it's like we want to do a triage call. Yeah. So we have a two call close approach, but we want to book a Zoom call. So the triage call is qualifying them. And a lot of agents, they're happy that they get someone to pick up, but they're not realizing that they got to qualify them, and the prospect is actually qualifying them, which it should be completely
exactly
switched.
Because you have to get the prospect to qualify themselves to you, not you qualifying and try to prove it. Who has the problems? They do, not you, the salesperson. Who has the solution to solve those problems? You do. So they should be qualifying to you. Okay, they should be pulling you in, but you have to learn how to do that. You can't say, hey, qualify to me. Hey, I'll see if you're a good fit, and I'll see if you're a good fit for what we do, and I'll tell you at the end. And that doesn't work. People know that you're full of BS.
Right, and then like the biggest thing is like, especially for the advanced market, is because we're dealing with higher clients. Yeah. It's like you have to have status. Yeah, you have to raise your status. Every time.
That doesn't mean that, Jacob, you're probably talking to multimillionaires that might be worth 10 to 30 million. You're probably not worth that yet. You're 24, right? Unless you figured out some Bitcoin or something you got into when you're 12. But you're probably not to their status financially. But from the questioning skills he's learned, and especially his tone, he's learned how to raise his status in the prospect's mind. That's called situational status, where they view him in that moment as the authority. The expert, they're not really asking, hey, how much is your net worth? They're not really asking that. They don't feel like they need to.
Because
of
we're
the
either
questions you
level
ask.
or I'm above them every single time.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you take
Yeah.
that step below them, you lost it.
Yeah, and that's really the third thing you probably learn is framing, right? So
Yeah.
power framing, it's called rank framing. So my background in college is behavioral science and social dynamics. When you go through social dynamics, they teach you a theory called rank framing. Some people call it status framing now, or power framing, authority framing. But rank framing is like, let's say you were in Polynesian islands, 1,000 years ago, or even 500 years ago. How would they view your rank in society? By the tattoos you wore on your arms or your legs. That's how they viewed your ranking, right? If you were in medieval Europe, during the times of medieval ages, how did they rank you in society? Whether you were a lord or a duke or a king or queen, you had a higher status. That's how you raise your status, called rank framing. So in sales, the same is true. So you're learning rank framing. Now let's go back to the second thing, tonality, and then we're going to go to 4 and 5. Tonality, then you have a confused tone.
Yeah.
Now sometimes, when I do like a keynote training or even like I'll do it on a reel, like a confused tone, like, oh, you don't want to have a confused tone. You don't sound like an expert. I'm not saying like, oh, I don't know how it works. Like, why would we want to use a confused tone in certain contexts to get them to open up emotionally?
To get them to open up, it's because like you want them to draw us back in, and not like vice versa. Because when we're trying to push, like they'll just buy into what they currently have. Like when you're like open, laid back, your heels off the pedal, they just come into you.
Yeah. So let's say they tell me a problem. Give me a problem that one of your recent prospects said they had.
That he just wanted to diversify.
Hold on. You're already working with Ameriprise. What's caused you to feel like that's not got you diversified enough? See, that's a confused tone. Now, what his brain just did right there, if he was a prospect, and he doesn't even understand it, but your instinctual part of your brain, they call it your reptilian brain, your survival part of your brain, basically tells you, oh, he didn't understand what I meant by that. I need to clarify that better.
Yeah.
And so you start to open up and clarify what you mean. Now on the flip side, when he starts to open up and clarify what he means, he starts to what? Relive his pain.
Yep.
What's the biggest emotional driver that causes a human being to want to change? Pain or the fear of future pain? So if you can't help the prospect relive their pain, and that's just a confused tone to get him to open up and clarify the pain, we're only going to do that when he tells me something painful, like an emotional
and then you want to expand down on that as well.
Expand the pain.
And that's,
Yeah, that causes them to relive the pain. And if we can't help them to relive pain or have a fear of future pain, they don't feel the need to change. And if the prospect feels no need to change, that's why you get tons of objections, and that's why you lose the deal, 100%.
And that's the biggest thing is, like the IUL is more of 20, 30 years. So it's all future pain of exactly what their current
fear of future pain of what could happen if they don't invest
like
property
what happens,
now and get in the right vehicle, right?
Yes.
Now there's also we want to learn a challenging tone. Well, okay, but what happens if you don't do anything about this? How will you be able to retire by the time you're 61, if that's what they said? Give us an example maybe of a consequence question we've taught you for your industry.
I was going to say, like, to add off that, it's like, are you willing to like settle for that? Like, who you can go even to like whose responsibility is it, like for the help for the retirement? But the consequence, it's like I always like to piece it down. There's two ways of doing it, but it does sound, because this would be like on a Zoom call for the consequence. Jeremy, it does seem like you have done some thought about this. Like, I guess, like, what happens is it if you don't do anything about this and you just stay exactly with the 401k? Like, what happens then?
What happens if you don't do anything about this? And like you had mentioned, the stock market keeps going up and down. How will we be able to retire on time at that point? Right? So I'm going to start with a challenging tone and end with a concerned tone. Right?
Because you want to lean in.
I want to lean. Okay, but what happens if it doesn't change though? Now, why would I use a concerned tone in certain contexts?
Because now like you're actually feeling like the empathy with them, so they're like you're on their side of the table, not fighting.
What's really holding you back from moving forward so you can retire on time? See, my tone is how the prospect interprets the intention behind my question. So if they feel I'm genuinely concerned for them, they start to what? Trust you.
You're authority just keeps rising in their mind, and
Raising
then
your
like
status.
you don't have the objection handle at all.
And then you got the playful tone.
Yeah.
Give us an example of where you use a playful tone. I got to hear this one.
Like the playful one is I like to do it at solution awareness. Usually, most of the time they haven't like reached out to anybody, so I'm like, oh, I'm your first time. I'm a lucky guy. You know.
Oh, so I must be the cool guy or something. Or let's say if they get on a Zoom call when you have an inbound lead after you've done the first outbound lead and you got the appointment. They're like, hey, how you doing today, Jacob? Oh, you know, just hanging out, being the boring guy. What about you? You being boring over there? Oh, I'm sure you're not boring.
They love that. And then also it's like my one-liner is always like, I'm just trying to be cool like you.
You know, just trying to be cool like you. What about, see, but we have to use a playful tone. Because if I'm like, I'm just trying to be cool like you. Whoa, that's weird, right?
Yeah, like it just falls flat.
All right, real quick as we wrap up, what's the fourth thing you've learned? So we've got, first thing, listen to what they mean, not what they say. Second thing, advanced tonality, the 5 tones. Third thing, status or rank framing.
Yep.
What's the fourth thing?
Training. I feel like as like insurance to be like like a leader to be the status is like we can't stop. As soon as we stop learning, we're gonna fall flat.
Yeah. Well, like my good friend Bradley always says, is training something you did or is training something you do? Well, it's something you do if you want to be really, really good and make a lot of money as a salesperson, right? It's like asking Steph Curry, is training something you did or is it something you do? He's going to be like, well, it's something I do. That's why I get paid $30 million a year, right? Because it's something I do. Now, people who never made it in the NBA, probably something they did. That's why they didn't get to the same level because he out-trained them, right? People always ask me, how did you get so good at sales? How did you make, $33-some million in commissions during your sales career before you retired? Well, I simply out-learned everybody else.
And that would go to 5 is like action. Like a lot of people just sit on the sidelines. They don't take anything in. Like Alex Hormozi says, it takes 20 hours to be proficient in that one thing. A lot of people take 20 years to put that first hour in.
So and it takes tens of thousands of hours to be an expert in what you're doing, not an amateur. And I think along with the questions, because I know you were telling me in the last interview, you really learn like, okay, I have to learn like what questions to ask that are going to trigger different emotional drivers.
Right, like you have to ask it at the right time because if you don't, the question that you just said will either fall flat or it just doesn't make sense to them, and you're going to have to say something. And it just doesn't even make sense.
And we train you, especially in the group training calls in 3.0 and Advanced Inner Circle, it's more industry specific, is you've got the sales structure you've written and the questions are good, but we want to base our next questions and we want to tweak them based on the answers they just give us because now they feel like we understand them rather than just reading the next question in your script.
Because like we said earlier, if we're just too busy scrolling on the script, we're not listening to them. Like I don't care how much you say you're listening.
They pick up on that. Your prospects will always buy from the person or company who they feel understands their unique situation the most. Doesn't matter the cost of your product or service, because they feel like if you understand their unique situation, then of course you will get them the best result. And that cannot happen without those 5 things that you just kind of described for us. All right, we're out of time here on the live. Now, type in me if you want to start acquiring the same 5 skills that Jacob just gave you a basic overview on, because we only had 30 minutes to do this live, to do this show for you guys. Type in me in the comments if you want to acquire those skills. Type in me right now. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. You better type in me if you want to learn how to sell more, because they don't have to learn more. They don't have to acquire more skills to sell more.
You can be unsuccessful.
they can keep playing the numbers game rather than the skills game. Which one makes you more money, numbers game or skills game?
Skills, for sure.
Probably skills. Now you still have to do something.
You
can't have all the skills and not pick up the phone or actually get on the sales calls or the appointments, whether you sell B2B or B2G or B2C. You got to do something. But type in me if you want to acquire those same skills, because that was just an overview. Now, when you type in me, message me directly. So if you're in the Facebook group right now or the Facebook business page or LinkedIn or my Facebook, just message me directly right now in the DMs, and either myself or someone on my team will message you back. They'll have some questions for you. And once we find out maybe what you're saying or not asking, or maybe how you're using your tone that's triggering so many of your prospects to not buy from you, even though they have problems, that your solution can solve,
That could be trouble.
it could be trouble for you, then we'll even let you book with one of our account managers. They'll go through some different training options we have for your industry. We don't have just one product, one thing, one price, like 35, 36 different versions now. And depending on what you sell and your income now compared to where you want to be at, tells us what your skill level is. Or if you're a business owner or a sales leader and you want your team's training, message us directly. We'll give you some options. Jacob, thanks for being on today.
Well,
it's
thank
good
you
to
for
have
having
you
me.
here in the office. Any last words of advice?
No, I don't got any besides I think you should get the skills.
Going on a limb, if you want to sell more, you might want to get into the training for our clients. We only have close to 19,000 testimonies from clients now. Not even testimonies from our free stuff. If we kept testimonies from the free stuff, we'd probably have triple than that, actually. I looked through a couple of YouTube videos I did the other day. There was like 30 testimonials on each one, but I was like, I don't think any of these people are clients, so I can't really count those.
You can't give them anything.
Could be a reason why we have almost 19,000 client testimonials. All right, message me directly right now. Love you guys.